Now, I'm interested also, on your farm, you were raising some sheep, right? And then you had to sell them, and how did that work?
Yeah, we had a flock of sheep, and 30 or 35, and every year they'd be sheared, and they'd send the wool into Harmony Woolen Mills to have it spun into yarn. And Mama would knit us socks and mittens and stuff, besides selling yarn. But after they were sheared, then we'd dip them for sheep ticks. We had a hogshead that was sawed off and fill that full of water and sheep dip chemicals, and dip each one individually in there and turn them loose out in the field. And then after that, they went to the summer pasture down to Crow's Neck. But I would catch a sheep and I'd hold it out roll the door back a little bit and hold the sheep there. And when Papa was ready, well, he'd take it and dip it. And one time I had one there, and the old buck saw his opportunity, so he come running across the pen and hit me in the backside, knocked me out through the door, sheep and all.
Oh my God.
So when Papa got done laughing, he took that one and dipped it, and I was a little more careful to watch the old buck after that, see where it was.
So, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you took some to Eastport, did you?
After the went to the sheep pasture, when the lambs got big enough, then Pike and Kilby Market in Eastport would buy lamb. So Papa would have 3 or 4 butchered, and we'd leave early in the morning because Papa had to be on the mail at 11 o'clock.
He was a mailman?
Yeah, Father was. Yeah, he'd drive over there and deliver the sheep, and he'd get a 100-pound bag of flour, and that would be put in between the fender and the hood on one side of the car. And he'd get a 25-pound bag, 25-pound wooden keg of lard, and a whole case of welcome soap for washing clothes, like that, besides money. Yeah, stocking up for winter, of course. Yeah, we did that several years. I went over there only once when you had to go across the toll bridge to get to Eastport.
Oh, yeah.
Did you used to spend a lot of time in Eastport in the old days?
Say again?
Did you spend a lot of time in Eastport?
No, very rarely. Very rarely we go downtown.
Yeah.
Would a lot of people because I looked at the old paper, you know, from the 19-teens, and there was a lot of Eastport advertisements in there.
Yeah.
I mean, was there a ferry service going quite often?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was.
It was a commercial site. And but they had a big fire that wiped out part of the town. And then another one again in, 1946 or 47, that burned a couple of sardine factories and some more buildings.
In Eastport?
Yeah.
In Eastport, yeah.
In Eastport, yeah. Yeah, it was a commercial center.
And the old toll road closed, I guess, when they built the causeways for the tidal power project? Or why did that close?
Yeah, when they were building the Quoddy Dam, the railroad tracks went across there, and they used the railroad cars, some of the big ones, for transporting gravel. And they could side dump it off of those cars to build the causeway. Mm-hmm. And that built the causeway onto Carlo Island, and then around the other side, they built another causeway there to get onto Moose Island. Mm-hmm. So then you could go to Eastport without going on the toll bridge.
Oh, yeah. Now, did you spend a lot of time on Campobello? Was that a popular spot when you were a kid?
Well, not when I was a kid, no.
No?
No. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, I was doing marine repair work on radio telephones and radars.
Yeah.
And I did that as a part-time job. Okay. I was working at Cutler all the time, but nights after work and Saturdays and Sundays, I'd be over there on the purse seiners, repairing equipment or tuning it up or whatever. So I was over there pretty near every night and all day Saturday and Sunday until I decided no more Sundays.
What was the Cutler base like back then? I mean, was there so many Navy guys there? Was it how many guys were out there when they first opened that?
Well, there was 135 civilians and probably, I don't know, 140 or 50 Navy guys.
And all they did was run the tower? I mean, what was that all about over there?
The Navy base is part of the Polaris submarine program. That's a transmitting site only. And the submarines don't have to surface to receive it. They can receive it underwater.
Oh, I see.
It's very low frequency.
Right.
And it radiates over 2 million watts. It's very powerful. The most powerful.
But if it's in the air, how does it get in the water?
The most powerful in the world.
Huh?
There's always a ground signal.
Yeah.
Every transmitter's got a ground signal as well, but VLF is more so.
Thousands of miles of copper wire underground there.
Oh, I see.
All the North Atlantic they can serve.
Gotcha.
All the Atlantic come to
No
that.
idea. So they needed 300 people to run that place?
Yeah. Civilian to maintain buildings and tower lighting and
okay.
transportation vehicles and
At
all
that time, it was the #1 atomic power target for the Russians.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we had a matching one in Australia. So the two of them together could get most of the world.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And do they still use it? Is it still
Oh,
used?
yeah, still operating, but no Navy.
Oh.
All the Navy left a few years ago. So it's all operated and maintained by civilians.
But it's kind of a backup now to satellites.
Yeah, okay.
But, well, that's interesting, but I'm thinking on who received the signal if they only transmitted?
Submarines and ships.
No, but how did the submarine signal back?
They didn't. That was a transmitting site only, it wasn't a receiving.
Wow.
It was not a receiving site. It was transmitting only.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All by coded messages.
Sure.
They get coded messages from Boston and Washington, rather. Yeah. And
Was it
send them
used
out.
often?
say again?
Was it used often?
All the time, steady, 24
Steady.
hours a day.
Yeah.
Sending messages, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, sometimes I suppose they'd be weather or conditions or whatever.
Very
But-
cool.
Yeah. Anything that had to be transmitted that would be of interest to the submarine.
So, hey, you know, I know this is a separate topic, but, you know, that was a big industrial, you know, important high-tech industry at that time. You know, another industry they want to bring in here is the LNG. I thought that'd be here by now. Is there a reason why we don't see an LNG plant nearby? Like, you know what I'm talking about?
No?
No.
The liquid natural gas?
Yeah,
Is
no,
that going to happen or what?
Well, it was never going to be a plant here. It was just to be offloading onto a pipeline,
Right.
and conversion from
That's what I meant.
gas to from liquid to gas. Well, we don't know. There's still one application in Robinson that's left, and so
The Eastport one didn't work?
no, the Eastport one's gone and the Calais one's gone.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But at the moment, the economy seems to be that we have a surplus of natural gas, and so we might be exporting it rather than importing it. And so that question has never been resolved because there haven't been any meetings on this for a few years, so we don't know what the thinking is.
Okay, gotcha. So as far as, you know, what you do with yourself these days, how do you keep yourself busy, Bernard?
Oh, just helping my kids and
Yeah.
working around my mountain house. It isn't all completed. There's still quite a little bit to do on it, but it's livable.
Can I ask how old you are?
Say again?
Can I ask how old you are?
88.
You're 88. Oh, you look
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I was
good.
born 1924.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, you had some interesting information about the old mines of Lubeck, like the lead mine. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, the lead was discovered there by Mrs. Ramstel. And it was a vein of pure lead that was a foot thick. And so engineers come in and they started setting up buildings and they mined that lead until it disappeared. They run other tunnels around, but they never did find another vein as productive as that, so it finally folded. But it was really active at the time, and they'd have a lot of activities for people coming in. They'd be stagecoach from Machias come in with people
Yep.
at the banquet hall, and they'd have
Jeez.
dancing and stuff. Yeah,
Real stagecoach?
yeah, yeah. The old rocker one, the same you see on the movies.
Jeez.
Yeah. See, that I
Those are
didn't
great.
know about until I discovered a book a few years ago about a lady that lived in West Lubeck at that period of time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, are you involved with the Historical Society here?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
How's that?
Of course, it's inactive right now.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's dying.
They're dying.
Yeah.
We need some of the young people to take the reins.
Yeah, they're just not interested.
They're just not, are they?
No.
They're too busy
But
doing other things.
Yeah. After that run out, why then it folded. But they were one of the high mucky mucks of the group moved down the shore just a little bit and started another set of mines, and they moved all the machinery down there. And that's the one that I saw when I was a kid. I went over and all of us boys, we went over and looked it over, and that's where I thought the original mines were, but they were not. They were more to the westward of those. But anyway, the mine machinery was still there, but the buildings were burnt.
Were all that machinery taken and sold for scrap, which went to Japan?
Yeah. When I was still going to the West Lubeck School, my buddy and I come up by this farm that had a old dump down near the brook, and there was mowing machines and raking machines and all kinds of iron junk there. And we got permission to carry that up to sell it. So we'd spend an hour or two every night after school dragging iron up to the road. Then my uncle would come out and buy the iron and haul it to Bangor, where it was shipped to Japan. And then she fired it all back at us. But the mine machinery went at that time. They took a scow up in there and loaded the mine machinery onto it and took that down to the distributor to sell the junk.
Well, that's really interesting. My last question would be
Sure.
about Reverend Jernigan, because I read on the internet, which of course always tells the gospel truth, that Jernigan disappeared and never to be seen of again. But I think you have a different story.
That was the gold from seawater.
Yes, the gold from seawater.
Yeah. When he and Fisher just took off, and why they didn't show up a few days, why the people that were invested money in it got kind of suspicious, so they broke into the laboratory, and they found a little bit of gold there, plus one gold brick from Philadelphia Mint, and they decided that maybe they'd been had. But anyway, Jernigan and Fisher took off. Jernigan went on a steamer to Europe, and but later on he came back, and he gave some of the money back, and the last they knew of him, he was teaching school in the Philippines for quite a few years. But Fisher, we don't know what happened to him. There was just one ad in the paper in New Zealand where Fisher was buried in New Zealand, but whether he was or not, hard to say. That's the only time we heard anything about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for this.
You bet.
Great always to hear your stories, and we look forward to hearing some more. So thank you very much, Bernard.
Okay, you're very welcome.
And by the way, Davis, what do you got going on over here?
This is
the cello practice.
The Summer Keys has a bunch of cellists practicing in my garage.
That is awesome.
I'm very happy for that.
That is beautiful to have here. You know, I mean,